So let's start this by a rather simplistic question, because that sometimes is a great way of setting context to what we want to discuss. What is loyalty? And there is a loyalty that people understand from the perspective of saying, I'll go back and buy the same thing again and again. Some bit of loyalty you do experience because the credit cards give you points or the airlines give you points, but that's not the loyalty that we are talking of, or that's the loyalty we are talking of. So what is loyalty, and where can then we take this discussion?
Okay. See, I think not going in the literal definition of loyalty, for me, and I believe even from a customer perspective, in very simple words, loyalty is love for a brand. Okay. And it is not because of any points program. If we think 1% points, or 2% points, or 3% points can certainly create a love in the customer, all that is passé. Because if you look at the business landscape nowadays, all the consumer companies are giving as high as 10% discounts, 20% discounts, flash offers, and personalized offers. So I believe loyalty, there are two perspectives. One is the customer, which I said, love for the brand. And second, from a business point of view, what is loyalty to a customer? That's very important that we need to understand. From a business point of view, the loyalty to a customer is very simple, saying, I will deliver as per your expectations consistently over time. And I think very important work here is as per your expectations. Not to forget that the customer expectations are changing every hour, every year. We are in a very, very dynamic digital age nowadays. So from a business point of view, somebody has to be proactive, number one, rather than being reactive. Identify the gap areas of a customer. When the customer is actually shopping with you, right from the time the customer enters your store to the time the customer leaves. Find out ways in automating them and overcoming those gaps. And that's where the loyalty starts. Over to you.
Yeah, very well said, Sumit. And see, the best way of customer loyalty is brand loyalty, right? He mentioned it, right? Unfortunately, in this country right now, brand loyalty does not exist in a lot of places. But let me ask a question to the forum here. How many of you are Apple users? By the raise of hands. Will you move to an Android phone? Only one said yes, everyone else said no. That is what Apple is. They say they don't need a program to create loyalty. Their brand stands for loyalty. An iOS customer is a customer for life. They will buy an iPhone, they'll buy the AirPods, they'll buy the tablet, they'll buy everything from Apple. Second is, example like closer to home, is an Enfield bike. Anyone Enfield riders here? So do you love your Enfield? They are closer sometimes even more than the wife, right? And even they, if you speak to their leadership, they said, we don't need a program, we don't need, our bike is the loyalty. The association created in Enfield is loyalty. A customer will upgrade his Enfield. They'll buy a jacket of Enfield, even if it's not the best cloth, but because there's an association with the brand. But both these things take a lot of money and take a lot of time. But unfortunately, Indian brands do not have either. Right? ना ज़्यादा पैसे होते हैं और समय तो किसी के पास नहीं होता. Either आप लोग pressure में नहीं तो VC pressure डाल रहा होता है, right? Am I right here? So hence, like Sumit said, loyalty can be built in any way, but it starts from the customer entering your website, your store. It will continue through the selection that you give, the entire buying journey. Actually, the checkout itself can create that. And then the product that you send to them has to fulfill the promise that you made. अगर आपका product अच्छा नहीं है, आप उसको 1 लाख, 1 करोड़ points दे दे, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, वो वापस नहीं आएगा, right? And last is the after-sale service. Everyone and every of the segments are contributing to your loyalty. The point systems are a way of generating it, right? But loyalty for us is your entire buying cycle and the post that, right? Those are my 2 bits on the loyalty.
Thank you, Nitin. I think Sumit and, first of all, good evening, everybody. Nitin and Sumit has very eloquently kind of demonstrated their views on loyalty. My personal take on loyalty is that it is a sentiment that we all feel. And I think it's the most commonsensical marketing subject is loyalty marketing because it's very intrinsic to us. How do I define loyalty? Is a sentiment a customer feels for a certain brand. Nothing more than that, right? Now, what is that sentiment leads to are the dimensions of loyalty marketing. Now, let's say if I'm I feel loyalty towards a certain brand. What does it mean? And again, if you draw parallel with loyalty in a relationship, it means I'm most engaged with that person, right? I care about that person to whom I'm loyal about. If I'm loyal to my wife, I care about that relationship, right? Now that care of a customer around a brand starts manifesting in many ways. It will want to know more about the brand. So if there is an advertising campaign, it will consume that campaign. It would want to know what new models are coming, etc. It will also be committed to the transaction. That's the transaction side of loyalty, right? Every time I buy, I upgrade, or I buy other allied products, I prefer that brand. That's the preference side of it. Third, today the brands are going beyond the, the peripheries of transactions. There are lots of social media assets that the brands have got. If I feel loyalty to a brand, I will start engaging with that brand through social media assets and all that. So according to all of us, we are having a chat, there's a tendency of brands and marketeers like us to overcomplicate this subject, right? By bringing in lots of jargons and all that. But the fact of the matter is, loyalty marketing as humans come very natural to us. And the key challenge is how do we kind of simplify our clutter of the brain and look at all the loyalty engagements from the prism of that sentiment. Most of the time we tend to drive a certain transaction. We feel that that's only one aspect of loyalty. We should look at the holistic picture, which will converse over a period. Thank you.
Now, if you look at it from a human behavior perspective, you are least likely to be loyal towards anything. It's a very, very difficult emotion to have. It's a very difficult emotion to own. Now, as brand marketers, all we want to do is create a wave. We call it awareness, and then you would measure it in various ways. But you want people to come into your fold, buy your product, and live with your product for a longer period of time. Now, from a pure loyalty perspective, is there a way you can bring the acquisition cost down? Is that where it starts to work?
Fair. See, so loyalty marketing, right, is that you build a relationship with the customer. Now that customer is your advocate. Now that customer can also be advocating your brand to his friends or her friends. So there is an angle of customer acquisition. Secondly, if you have a great loyalty construct, and when I say construct, it can be anything. It can be a points-based program. It can be anything else, right? The point is when the customer is coming into your funnel, your loyalty program needs to be two things. One, relevant to the consumers. If I ask in this room right now, each one of us will be enrolled into hundreds of loyalty programs. Trust me, wherever you give in your phone number, आप उस program का part हैं. But अगर मैं आपसे पूछूंगा, do you remember any program? You will say maybe one. And you will say the most relevant to you. Hence, it is important to build relevance with your customers. Second, the program has to start with the start of the journey, which means it needs to travel right from the homepage in e-commerce parlance till the checkout. It has to be manifested everywhere and telling the consumer kuch extra hai. If you put it only on the checkout or you do not have it throughout the journey, then it's not loyalty because at the checkout, the customer has decided to buy. The decision to buy has already happened. If you want to have a higher conversion, the program has to be relevant to the consumer. And second, it has to be at every buying decision. Every stage, the customer goes through multiple stages of conversion. They have to be there in all conversion levers to have a better conversion rate as well. So, sir, loyalty absolutely is also integral to bringing the CAC down, right? Increasing your ROASes, right? That's the keywords we're using these days, right? If Facebook sabka dushman hai, right? So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so, fortunately, I've been practicing loyalty, CRM, customer experience since the last 20, 25 years. And this debate that loyalty will get the acquisition cost down has been there since a long time. My take is that it was very valid 15, 18 years back when marketing was considered to be a very important cost or an investment in the business, and loyalty was only a starter. So I remember talking to the partners, and I was at the client side long time in my career as well, where you would say, I'm spending few crores in marketing. Here is something known as loyalty, some data, I don't know what it is. Excel used to have some 40,000 rows, there was no analytics at all. And say, okay, fine, out of those 10 crores I'm spending in marketing in the form of advertising, events and promotions, let me take out 50 lakh and give it to loyalty marketing. Now, that was the time when as loyalty marketeers, you had to actually convince the management, give me 50 lakh, I will ensure that your cost of acquisition comes down, all right? Sarkar today, the things have changed. Correct me if you find me going wrong. Everywhere, acquisition majorly is actually led by loyalty. Because of the data that you get from the loyalty programs, you find out how many customers are loyal. Can I personalize my offer? So the era of having a standardized offer, buy for 3,000 rupees, get flat, that has come down. So you have personalized offers, you have personalized communication. All this is based on the loyalty program data that you're generating, which makes all us practitioners believe that is the other way around. It's actually loyalty which is not only leading retention. It's because of loyalty you are actually acquiring the customers as well, right? So this debate of bringing the cost down, 5x and everything, it's another way. And I'll just share a small experience. In one of my last stints, I was in a company in GCC. So the CEO told me that and incidentally our loyalty program penetration was about 93%. 7% new registrations and remaining about, all right. So the CEO said that if you guys can drive 93% of the business, then why should marketing get 30% more budget than you? He changed the budget. He said, you guys need to get 30% more budget. So, with due respect, marketing is an extremely important function of the business. But I believe that debate that loyalty brings down 5x acquisition cost may not be relevant anymore. Because loyalty is actually driving customer acquisition as well as customer retention, right? Second point I'll say that, from a 5x cost point of view that will bring down 5x, I would say this 5x calculation has been there since a long time as well. I'm absolutely sure all of you would have read many articles since the last so many years. The fact of the matter is, again, it was relevant some 15 years back when you used to do marketing and you used to get footfalls. Today, all practitioners of marketing, I'm sure, please correct me if you find me going wrong, will say, today when you do marketing, you might get footfalls, but how much are relevant to my business? Right? How many of them am I able to convert? So there's a lot, mall marketeers. You talk to mall marketeers, they'll say, come on weekends, there's not even a, area where you can step into my mall. They say all this crowd is extremely important for me. But is this crowd relevant from the stores that are there in the mall? How many of them are getting converted? So somebody has to also take into account that over a period of time, marketing, when you do a flat offer, you are not attracting the right set of customers altogether. You might be attracting some set of customers, So that's my take on it.
I'll just add to his, price discounting. Most of any brands out here, brands who are running brands, right? Some of you are here. All of you give discounts to your customers, right? And that's important. I'm not saying that's not important. But discount is what I feel is called a fair weather friendship. Fair weather friendship का मतलब है मौसम अच्छा है, पैसे हैं, तो मैं देके कस्टमर को ला सकता हूँ. जो बात Sumit also is referring to the same point. Point is you have to create and invest equally or some amount in building this practice. Discounting will only get you somewhere. But is this the right customer that you acquired? Will that customer come for the second time? Because you're not making money on the customer on the first time. You spend money to get the customer in. But if the customer churns out because he or she came for a discount, you've lost that customer, you've lost money on that customer. So it is extremely important to what Sumit also mentioned.
So I think Sumit touched upon a very interesting point, which is the ROI. Earlier, the loyalty program used to be a differentiator in itself. Now it has more become a compulsion because all your, if you are a retail brand, apparel brand, all your competitors are offering points, which are redeemable or next purchase. Now what do I do? What do I do? So I get into that, this race and end up doing a loyalty program where customer is getting discount, but he's not feeling an differentiation. Now that is where the design part of a loyalty program comes into picture. Now I'll give you an example. Let me throw this open to you. All of us watch movies, right? And most of us watch movies in PVRs, right? If you are now, let's say if PVR have to offer us a loyalty program where each ticket that you buy, you earn, let's say 1% points payback, which you burn over your next ticket. How many of us are bothered? Not really. Because the tickets vary from 550 to 260, depending on. So we are not price conscious. But if, let's say, PVR design a loyalty program where they say, if you are part of that loyalty program and you occupy, let's say, the tier, I give you a guaranteed ticket, whichever show you want to give it. I give you an access to a star-studded pre-premium, whatever they call it, kind of a show. I give you, let's say, customized sizes of popcorns, etc., or the juices brand that you prefer to. You give us your wish list, I will service you that. These kinds of designs or loyalty offers will start make a dent. It will give a preference. So the key point here, any loyalty program has to cater to two layers. You cannot do away with a point-based benefit-driven loyalty, but that's a hygiene. Over that layer, what we need to build is the accesses. Now, any customer who is demonstrating loyalty to a brand, what he seeks is access, right? And there are many brands. Nike does it very well. IKEA family does it very well. So what they do is, this is the price for the product, and in that tag they will say IKEA family members price. So they don't give you point. They give you an access to a differential points. So that's the point. I think all the marketeers are trying to figure out a way where they are giving a certain exclusivity to experience.
So from what I'm hearing from three of you and what we see happen also is that eventually loyalty becomes, or loyalty points become a way of triggering the sale at that point of time, because you've come to the website, you've come to the app, you're looking at something, there are some new coins as Tata calls it, they're lying in you. Paytm has some coupons that are lying with you, and that starts to become a way of triggering the sale. You also spoke about this entire bit of tier-based system and stuff like that. If I now take you away from a consumer-facing perspective to a more channel-facing perspective, two issues. How do you deal with the fact that the channel guy will actually do some badmashi and will pass on some of the benefits that is coming to them and play around with the entire ecosystem that you've created? That is one. But more importantly, is tier-based system the only way to design a B2B loyalty program? Or is there another way in which you guys are now exploring of moving forward and saying, okay, if we have to create a program, it cannot only be tier-based?
Okay, I think, the basic premise of introducing tiers were very simple. Number one, I want to find out how much do I want to spend on what customer. That was the idea. Financial consideration of a loyalty program, because the basic concept is I want to spend as per customer's lifetime value. So therefore, we said we will create thresholds, and basis those thresholds, now you can't tell the customer you are threshold 1, 2, or 3. So therefore, we will create tiers, and we will make tiers aspirational so that the customer can scale up. Now that said, tiers or no tiers, I have seen many programs where tiers are not even required. And we have launched tiers just because the competitor has launched. Okay? And I have seen some programs where tiers are required and the tiers are not launched. For example, I'll tell you, one of the retailers we were talking to long time back, and I was there, they were launching a loyalty program. They've been in the business since the last 15, 20 years. Now, when you launch a loyalty program and you have customer data, okay, you suddenly can't classify a customer who is shopping with you since the last 15 years and tell them you are silver for me. The idea of a loyalty program is to respect the customer and thank the customer that, okay, I recognize that you have been there with me since the last 15 years. So what it means is, if you are a 15-year-old business, you have customer data and mobile number stored, you are launching a loyalty program, you require tiers because you have a customer history with you. At the same time, let's say if you're launching a new business or maybe a startup, do you really want to get into tiers immediately? Or would you actually want to find out what is best for your business and then going forward? That said, what I believe is that, tiers can very well stay wherever they are relevant. But the way we are defining tiers have to change dramatically now. Generally, tiers are classified into RFM, all right? Anybody who is high recency, high frequency, high monetary. There are some businesses who will classify a tier into, say, okay, fine, gold is a customer who gives me 50,000 per annum. Silver is a customer who gives me 25,000, and titanium is a customer who gives me 1 lakh per annum, okay? There's nothing wrong in it. And then I'll monitor the customer in the tier, and I'll keep them upgrading or downgrading them if required, if they are not doing the same business with me. This is okay, but the fact is, what's next? The next is that there are many customers who are one-time buyers who have a potential to go up to the higher-most tier, and you have classified them into a silver right away. That is a challenge a customer has to solve. So for example, if Rajat goes to a new business, let's say a retailer, and suddenly he's a first-time shopper, just moved from Bombay to Delhi, everybody is a floating population nowadays, thanks to our jobs, enters the store, he's classified as a silver customer, told कि भैया आपका जो कोई भी query होगा ना अभी 4 घंटे में आंसर होगा, अभी रुक जाइए, gold का time है, The fact is that somebody has to recognize that customers like Rajat or any one of you have got the potential to become some big-time customers from silver to gold to titanium in a very small time frame. The idea is let tiers be there, but the business and the customer experience cannot be defined only by tiers, all right? So there has to be a parallel mechanism which says, I will identify the customers in every tier who have a probability to scale up. Now the beauty is we have data analytics, AI algorithms and prediction modeling nowadays today which can help us identify at the customer level based on the customer profile, which are those customers which can be scaled up to the next level. You identify them, treat them differently, and you have a great customer right from day one. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I have a slightly different way of thinking, right? What does tiers do? Tiers is identification and putting customers in a certain cohort and treating them differently. Primarily that. My question to the forum right now in front of me, right? How many of you fly by airlines? Have taken a flight? Right? Almost all of us, right? How many of you thought air lounge access was a great thing 2 years back? But today if you go there, the entire world has got that card. जिस पे airline access मिलता है. I have started preferring personally to eat in the KFC on the airport rather than going to the lounge access. Because to get into the lounge is like a very big line. So the differentiation between tiers is not there. And secondly, my firm belief is tiers can be introduced in the future when you can differentiate the experience between tier 1 and tier 2. Secondly, do not complicate your loyalty programs. People, again the same question, आप लोगों को कितने loyalty programs याद हैं? शायद एक भी नहीं. Keep the program simple to understand, right? Tiers work wonderfully well when you used to do airline programs. I am a platinum tier because मेरे लिए separate line होती थी, right? आज वो नहीं है. Airline examples cannot be fit everywhere, no? Because there is only limited things that you can provide to a customer to make them feel different. Plus, if you introduce tiers, like Sumit said, early in the stage, right? Customer को आपका program में भी समझ नहीं आ रहा, वो tiers कैसे समझेगा? वो क्या बोलेगा, मैं silver हूँ, gold हूँ, ये हूँ, मुझे क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है? मुझे तो currency नहीं चाहिए, right? कैसे समझूँ earn कितना करना है, burn कितना करना है, क्या limit है? What the heck is these guys trying to teach me, right? Hence, keep the program simple. In my opinion, I second what Sumit said. Do not have tiers in the initial stage of your life. Build the program. Let the program reach a customer. Let them start enjoying. Once you reach a certain stage and you feel like there is differentiation for some other cohort of consumers, that's when you create a program. and you give offers like early access, things like that, but give it only to the certain consumers. Don't make it like the airport lounge access program, where even I am also there, like my driver also goes to the same lounge, right? I don't have a problem with that, personally, but like I have to stand in the line. I don't like that anymore, right? Earlier, airport lounge access, I'll get to have free food and all that, but now everyone has a lounge access, right? So those are my 2 bits on the tiering program logic, sir.
So it's a very tricky terrain to venture into. So why do we introduce tier, as Sumit was pondering on, is that we introduce tier because not all rights or privileges or benefits can be offered to everybody, A. Number 2, you are attracted to join a loyalty program by the package that the brand throws at you, right? I was giving you a PVR loyalty program example. Now, to have features which are very attractive for you to get acquired, you need to pitch it very high. But the moment you pitch it high, you cannot offer it to everybody, right? Point number 1. Point number 2, you kind of reflected on how a channel loyalty design can vary from a customer loyalty design. In channel, there is a certain ego amongst the retailer who are delivering high value to the brand, right? Now, they seek a certain status, right? Because benefit or privilege or discount या trade margin तो brand दे ही रहा होगा उनको because he's helping them sell in the market. If you offer a vanilla loyalty program to the trade, which he is earning the same kinds of points, which the lower tier retailer is getting, it end up hurting their egos. Now, in a channel loyalty program, you need to create a certain privilege group within the channel loyalty partners, where they start feeling certain status. So that you have properties like Inner Circle, right? Where handful of distributors will get invited to be sitting and having a high tea with, let's say, the sales director and all that, right? Or the senior most people, when they visit the market, they are the privileged store where they happen to visit. Or if their product launch happening, they are the one who kind of, get invited. Or maybe when, let's say, a new distribution strategy or etc. is being worked upon, the management takes view of these gentlemen. So in channel loyalty space, maybe tiering is a good strategy to have. I agree with Nitin. The key thing is to keep the program very, very simplistic. I can vouch in the entire group of people that collectively we will be part of more than 1,200 loyalty programs, right? If you ask me which tier do I occupy in a customer loyalty program, I don't think anybody will be able to recall that space. So, which program? Yes, absolutely. So most of the time, it is our own, wishful thinking that end up complicating a program, and we tend to create our own business objectives and put that design back into the loyalty program. So that's the essence of it.
So it looks like from a consumer perspective, there is a great need, and maybe you three have an opportunity there which you can think of creating one single loyalty program that brands co-opt in and consumers co-opt back. So whatever you buy gets rewarded to the consumers from that perspective. Maybe that is the future where you will have one loyalty program running across the country. I don't know if it's possible or it's a pipe dream. But from a consumer perspective, yes, it works. I don't know about trade because there is too much of data issue.
No, we both worked in a program together called Payback doing exactly that. So yeah, it will be there. एक दिन तो लाएंगे एक program for one country. पर आज नहीं पता है या नहीं है.
So thank you very much. The panel is saying that our time's up. So great to have you and pleasure being here.
Thank you very much. Very honored to be a part of such an esteemed audience. Thanks a lot for giving chance to share the thoughts. Thanks a lot.